8 miles northwest of Wolverhampton, and only a stone's throw from Boscobel House, are the ruins of White Ladies Priory, a place that is extremely haunted, and many ghost hunters have spent hours investigating, some of which have fled in terror. The origins and exact date of the foundation of the priory are not known. The latter part of the 12th century is generally accepted as the period of establishment. The surviving ruins show work typical of the late 12th century, and the first documentary evidence dates from 1186 or earlier. In it, Emma, daughter of Reynold of Pulverbach, in the process of giving land to Humond Abbey near Shrewsbury, mentions that she has already granted a vergate of land in the Boroughbridge to the White Nuns of Brewood. The priory was dedicated to Leonard of Nolbach, a French saint associated with the liberation of prisoners, who was extremely popular after a number of alleged miracles earlier in the 12th century. It is now accepted that the priory belonged to the Augustinian order. When Prioress Alice Wood retired in 1498, she was assigned the income from Tidgshelf, about a fifth of the total revenues, as a pension, but Bishop Arundel required that she pay for her own food if she stayed at Brewood. From about that date, serious decline seems to have set in. In 1521, it was found that, although the priory was not actually in debt, the prioress did not know how to render accounts, and 2 canonesses claimed they were still owed their monthly incomes. In 1524, the dormitory was reported to be in bad repair. In 1535, White Ladies Priory was reported to have revenues of only £31, 1 shillings and 4 pence. Expenses came to £13, 10 shillings and 8 pence, including £5 for the chaplain. The next year's figures were almost identical. This brought White Ladies well under the threshold of the Suppression of the Religious Houses Act 1535, which dissolved all houses worth less than £200 per annum, clear of expenses. The property was sold to William Warwood and his wife Margaret in 1540, but a William Skeffington retained the lease at an annual rent of £10, 9 shillings and 6 pence. It was almost certainly Skeffington who built a house on the site of White Ladies Priory, probably incorporating some of the prioress's residence. When he died in 1550, it would have passed to his wife, Joan. The priory gained further notoriety on the 4th of September 1651, after riding through the night after the Battle of Worcester the previous day. Charles Gifford, a cousin of Francis, escorted King Charles to White Ladies Priory. Part of the house was still standing in 1791, but began a slow decay till it became the ruins we see today. With such a long and rich history, it is perhaps no wonder that past residents have chosen to stay long after death. One ghost regularly seen is believed to be that of Eldith, the first prioress. Witnesses describe her as being in a white habit, with a saddened face. Silently she walks around the ruins, and sometimes she is seen in the surrounding fields. One visitor reported seeing a shadow that seemingly followed her around the ruins. Being a paranormal enthusiast, she pulled out her phone and tried to take a picture, but the phantom would quickly disappear before she had a chance. She then used the ghost app that came up with the name Dot, which was the name of a woman who once owned the priory. Late one summer's evening, a couple stopped off to visit the ruins and described an overwhelming sense of threat. They nevertheless continued with their visit when they suddenly saw a man dressed in 17th century clothing, covered in blood. This apparition tried to speak out, but blood spewed out from its mouth, and the couple turned and fled. This ghost is believed to be one of the Pendrell brothers, former tenants of the estate. Originally there were 6, but one was killed at the Battle of Edge Hill, and it is his spirit that returns home hundreds of years after his death in battle. Many visitors have reported hearing the sound of children's laughter, along with sightings of a girl with no legs and wearing rags. At times this ghost has been seen floating above the ruins, at others floating through the ruined walls. One visitor reported seeing apparitions of children who simply vanished as he tried to approach them, though he was followed by the sound of laughter. Local rumours claim that witches once dwelt on the site of the ruins, and that these witches were hung from trees close to the priory. A man walking his dog down this path claims to have seen the ghosts of those witches hanging from the trees, still jerking as though they were just hung. Some say the Priory is one of the most haunted locations in England, but the truth is that most visitors to White Ladies Priory experience nothing paranormal, and skeptics point to this as evidence that the ruins are not haunted, and any experience is explainable as natural phenomenon and made up folklore. But whether or not White Ladies Priory is haunted comes down to one question: do you believe?